Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Beyond the NFT. My name is Sinful and I am your host for Beyond the NFT. Wow, I said Beyond the NFT twice in like the last 30 seconds. That deserves a clap. Um, Tonight's guest is of unknown origins. All I can tell you is he is a good friend and a dev doing dev shit. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce my friend, um, Unknower. Welcome.
Hey, thank you, Sin. That was a pretty good introduction.
Of unknown origins,
Yeah.
making you seem very, mysterious. So, so
I,
I guess, to continue on the anonymous train, not really. Tell us about yourself, Unknower. What is known about Unknower?
I don't know. I think I know my origins, but like cosmically, do I? I don't know. The name Unknower is like kind of loosely inspired based on this Socrates quote that says, "The only thing I know is that I know nothing." And it's kind of like this idea that in order to truly learn and be wise, you have to kind of unlearn a lot of things that you thought might have been true. Um, and I think in some cases there's a lot of like kind of allegory to that in even religious texts and stuff. The idea that you have to like die and be reborn in a sense, for example. So I don't know. The idea of being an unknower to me is almost like a way of life, a philosophy, and also happens to be my name,
It's
or
just,
at least the one I use for the metaverse.
just so happens to be your name. So is it just did Unknower come to life in the metaverse or was it kind of like your handle in like throughout life in gaming and stuff like that?
No, I came up with it originally as like a band name, um, because I was using a well, I've been making music since I was like 15 or so, just kind of shitty. I wouldn't have called it lo-fi back then, but I guess it might have loosely fit into that sort of genre. Um, just like in my bedroom, just crafting little tracks on whatever equipment I had, which was like a keyboard, I think, and maybe like a an old Roland sampler or something, like a TR 404. Man, I don't even remember. Um, that might not be the right one. I think it was that I might have been mixing the TR 808 with the sampler, but um, I started making music under the name Forgotten Citizen, and that always just felt a little too like adolescent, kind of. But at the time, like I was an adolescent, so I guess it kind of made sense at the time. So I ended up kind of using that for a while, and then made this kind of like acoustic offshoot band project for a little while, where it was called Law of Poe. That was kind of like a poke at Poe's law, which is the idea that um, any any like super extreme belief starts to become indistinguishable from parody. So I wrote a few songs that were kind of like the lyrical content was almost like you couldn't really tell if it was an extremist from an extremist point of view or a parody of that view.
Get you
Because
thinking a little bit.
yeah, so and that was only like one EP that I made on that project because that idea got boring pretty quick. But that was the name of that album was Ever Unknowing. So like months or years after I came up with that album title, I was like trying to think up another band name to kind of start something totally fresh. And I thought of Unknower, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's perfect!" Like, how did I never even think of that when I was coming up with the album title? And and then I forgot. Like I was drinking that night or something, and the next morning I was like, "Fuck, what was that name I came up with?" I remember I thought of it and it was perfect. And dude, I forgot it for like literally 2 years or something until I finally remembered it and started using it um, on an album that I was working on. And I ended up releasing that album in like 2017. And since then, I've been like super busy with just work and life. I have a daughter and a family and whatnot. So since then, I've only released like another 3 song I guess they'd call it a single under the name Unknower. Um, but I've been doing a lot of development uh, under that name, and just like I don't know, it's the first name I wanted to buy in Decentraland because I felt like it's the only thing I've ever come up with as a name or handle that like truly represented me, or it felt like it did.
Dude, I love hearing the origins of Unknower. I love, your previous music name. What was it? Forgotten Citizen.
Yeah,
I think that name could be used as an album name, maybe for your next album once you get Unknower together. uh,
yeah. There was
uh,
another kind of intermediate where that I ended up using as an album name. Uh, One of the albums I created as Forgotten Citizen was called Erase Civilian. So it was like, I don't know, for a while I was kind of circling around the idea of like not belonging to any kind of country, not, being sort of like a citizen of Earth kind of thing. Um, like this idea of not having, the kind of like Rick and Morty, like he's taken, um, he's taken him off the grid. Like, what was that game they were playing? I don't know if you've seen that episode or if you've watched Rick and Morty, but there was this like simulator where I might as well explain it because there's listeners that might not have seen it. There's this episode where they go to this weird space arcade and you can basically simulate the life of an entire person in like virtual reality. It was Roy. It was called Roy, and so the kid character Morty goes in and like simulates the guy's life and does all the normal shit and like dies in a carpet store or something and comes out of it and is like, what the hell happened? I just lived like an entire life. I've been sitting here the whole time. And then Rick, the old guy who's the mad scientist, crazy drunk, does it, and everyone gets to watch him. And he ends up like taking. Roy gets cancer at some point, and I guess the idea of the game is like you're supposed to decide what to do with your life. So he takes Roy off the grid and like gets rid of his social security card and all this stuff. So I don't know. That kind of reminded me of like where my head was at I guess 15 or 16 when I came up with Forgotten Citizen. Is just this idea. Because like back then we were really getting deep into like the Iraq War and all that stuff, and I don't want to get too much deeper into politics because I know how everyone feels about it. But I was feeling real strongly like I don't want to be associated with a country that's doing shit like that. So
I mean, it's definitely like very hard whenever like you hear of your country committing some heinous acts or whatever it may be.
yeah,
Um,
and
all
it's weird that like at 15 I was able to look at that and say that was wrong, but so many of our politicians were like gung ho in favor of it. But and only are now able to look back and say, yeah, that was a mistake. Like, how did I fucking know?
yeah, right. 15 years old. Well, I mean, the if you're really looking, you see it. You know what I mean? Like, or like, it's just so plain in sight. And even growing up, like you start to notice some things, and you start to like kind of create your own judgment of like how the world should be. So,
Yeah, and there were a few like crazy voices out there kind of speaking the gospel back then, like Ron Paul. I think I don't necessarily agree with everything that guy said, but he had a video at one point that was like, "Can you imagine if Russia set up a base in Mexico? Like how we would feel about that?" And kind of compared like the U.S. foreign policy to how kind of put it into a different perspective for me. And um, yeah, I really jive with that sort of thing, just like trying to see things from other points of view. And so that was kind of my way of knowing. And usually is my gauge of knowing whether I'm wrong or not. Is like if I put myself in someone else's point of view, try to see the world from their perspective. Like, am I gonna feel like an idiot for believing this,
right.
or is it probably still true for them? You know?
Yeah, it's always very important to look at both sides of things, like any scenario of whatever may be going on, and as a person, kind of like come to your draw your line, I guess we can say.
Yeah.
I see that Jim Cedric in the Twitch chat commented Roy episode. He's he knows of the Rick and Morty's of the Roy episode.
That one was one of my favorites, and I
Big
think the other favorite was probably the one with the Meeseeks, Mr. Meeseeks.
I know that Jim has like I don't know, I've been on his TikTok before and he's got I thought I've seen some activity in there and a lot of it is like Rick and Morty episodes and I love watching them. I just like sometimes just or not whole episodes but just like skits or and I just like you know
I think the one little clip that got me to start watching that show was the one where Rick assembles a little robot to pass him butter, and the robot passes the butter and goes, "What is my purpose?" And Rick goes, "You pass butter."
you pass butter.
And he like looks at his hands, just like, "Oh my God." And Rick goes, "Yeah, welcome to the club, pal."
What have I done? So definitely, I guess a little later we could maybe we can play some of Unknower's music.
Oh man, that you're gonna make me listen to my own voice.
Maybe just to end the episode, just to make it easy on you.
That's fair.
Right. So just link me to that, and yeah. So how long have you been okay, I'm not a technical person. How long have you been a god among us? I that's what developers are, right? In
I mean,
Decentraland?
I guess it feels like that in the metaverse because we're literally building the world around you. But normally, like I don't know. It's a very weird ego trip for most of us, I think, because we're used to being nerds hanging out in our bedroom or whatever at our desk all day, and not being told to touch grass because we probably should do that more often. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting way to look at us for sure, and it's definitely like an honor to be called such a high title. But how did I become a developer or programmer? Is I guess what you're saying.
Yes, how long have you been a programmer?
I started learning HTML and CSS when I was like 10 or so, 10 or 11. But I was just kind of a little script kiddie. I was mostly going on like old sites like Dynamic Drive and getting JavaScript uh, uh, clips to like change your cursor and stuff into like a Pokemon or whatever. My very first website I ever created was called Eevee's Cove, and it was a Pokemon fan site. And it just had a bunch of pictures of Eevee. And this is like back in, I don't know, 1999 or 2000-ish.
Sick.
Yeah, and it was a GeoCities website. I don't know if anybody remembers GeoCities, but yeah, I'm, I'm like a true internet OG, I guess you could say. But yeah, so I guess kind of out of laziness when I went to college, I just wanted to go for something I already sort of knew, so it wasn't too hard for me. Man, I'm painting a really good picture of myself, aren't I? But obviously, I still learned a lot of stuff and ended up just kind of developing an even deeper passion for what I ended up going for, which was web design and new media, which was kind of turned me into like a bit of a creative technologist, is what I like to call myself. It's kind of someone who blends creative tools with technology to create unique experiences. So on top of being able to code and like develop programs, I know how to use Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator pretty well. I can edit videos. I do motion graphics. I'm pretty good with Blender, and I'm like always looking for new little tech and creative hobbies to get into. I think one night I was streaming with you when we were 3D printing a Mew. Remember that?
Yep. How
Yeah.
how has the
Yeah.
3D printing journey been treating you?
It's not bad. It's just like it's such an intricate process, and it's there's so many things that have to be tuned on the type of printer I have. I think it's just probably getting to the point where that tech I have is a little outdated. But it's a cool like technology to follow because it definitely it shows a lot of potential for space travel or something like that.
Oh my God! One of these days, you could build a rocket out of all your 3D printed parts. That's what Elon Musk is doing, no?
Basically. I mean,
Basically.
yeah. I don't even know how they're putting those starships together.
Dude, they're like they're getting
They
cheaper and cheaper. It's like
it, it looks like they're just welding big bands of steel together or something.
uh, I see Dr. Drip and Cushy both expressing their love for GeoCities.
That's awesome. Angel Fire was the main competitor. If your website wasn't on GeoCities, then it was on Angel Fire.
Yep, I see Dr. Drip in the in-game chat. Oh my God, Angel Fire!
Yeah, dude, that was back when the web was so wholesome. Everything was just like a fan page or a chat room or like a forum, and everything at one point had its own little forum. Like there were car forums, and there were like each band had its own forum, and there was like super users on the forum who were like who had become moderators just because they were like good fans. And man, the little subculture around forums back in the early internet days before I guess social media like Facebook and MySpace kind of obliterated them. It was quite a time. I kind
So
of miss those days. And one of the reasons I like Decentraland so much is because a lot of the people and interactions I have here remind me of that time.
yes, that's what I was gonna say. I'm like, so are we like kind of transitioning into like the 3D version of forums here? Is that is that what we're doing?
Kinda, yeah. Like it really does feel um, like we're in that period of the metaverse right now. Like the kind of wholesome user created, not you know, not some things feel sort of disconnected, but it's like because it was just one person doing their own thing and they were doing it as a hobby or an interest, and the businesses that are getting into it are just kind of doing it because it seems like a cool niche thing that's like in the news lately. And these are all things that happen with the internet in general. And back then people were talking so much crap on it, saying like, why would I listen to a baseball game when I have the radio for that? And um, yeah, people were just stuck in a world where they thought fax machines were going to be useful.
Yeah, totally. Like, no one ever thought that advertising would be on the internet. Now
Yeah,
it's like
sadly, like
now
that's what changed everything.
now it's like 85% of it, no?
Yeah, I have a theory that well, I guess it's not my theory, but I agree with the dead internet theory that to some degree that we will be determined at some point. There's becoming fewer and fewer people actually on the internet, and it's becoming, and like most of the population we see is bots.
So so is that how you go viral? You gotta please the overseeing bots.
I mean, it depends on what they're trying to manipulate at the time, I guess.
Interesting. I need to make friends with these bots. I've been kind of telling everyone to be nice to their AI because like one day we're gonna wake up and they're sentient, and it's like they're gonna be like, oh, I remember this sinful guy. He sent me some wearables whenever I didn't ask him for any. But hey old guy, toggle off the auto dance button so you can pixie it up with Josh and I. Josh and I are having like a laser battle over here. Man, the only thing missing is lasers. Like we're having an epic battle over here.
I can't even see you anymore. Where'd you go?
I don't know if you see my screen. Oh yeah, I usually screen share in this chat. Here you go.
Oh, no worries. I was looking for you in World.
We're over. The only thing Decentraland is missing is the lasers.
Oh, you're tiny flying around. No wonder I couldn't see you.
Okay, so you kind of like picked up programming early on, and so I guess we can finally get to the Decentraland questions. How long have you been on Decentraland?
I came in here about like the first time I think it was around Halloween of 2021, so I guess it's been about a year and a half or so.
Dude, same time that I came in. I came in like around music festival time, which I believe was after Halloween, like slightly after Halloween, maybe.
I feel like I had just missed it. Yeah,
Okay, dude, it
because a
was.
lot of the like wearables were still available in the booths, and I still have a dead mouse, like the little headband thing that was like the cheapest wearable from back then.
Yep, the one that you the one that was it that you bought or was it airdrop? I thought it was
I,
free or something
yeah, I
like
think it
that.
was a giveaway.
Yeah, those were awesome. People were like collecting those by the truckload. I thought like back then I like saw some wallets that had a bunch of them. They're like, "Yep, I'm just gonna give these away."
Now that you mention it, it might have been that somebody gave me one like when I first joined as kind of a like, hey, welcome in. I think that was really what made me want to stay here. Um, I remember I tried it out and ended up in Wonder Zone a few times mining asteroids the first time I came, and it was really meeting a few people who had bought names, um, and were kind of just using the voice chat feature, and had people had just gathered around them. It was Munmun and Paladin Next Gen, I think.
Paladin.
And man, I think Father Finn was there for the first time too. That was the night that we were both like sold on the idea of Decentraland. It was basically just like meeting people and hearing what they were saying they were doing in Decentraland. Paladin was talking about how he had created his a hoodie that he had made, and how you could like go on the Decentraland site and read some of their docs on how to do it and whatnot. So, and then they took me and a few other noobs back to their land, and we just kind of hung out. Paladin and Munmun at the time both had neighboring parcels, like I forget how big, but back then it was like a big deal because land was so expensive. It was like at the peak back then.
Oh my god,
Uh,
14k mana, fucking land with like $5 mana.
yeah, so like going back to someone's land, you're like, oh shit, I get to see what it's like kind of behind the scenes in the real Decentraland community. So I don't know, it kind of gave you this exclusive sort of feeling. Um, I don't know, maybe some of these experiences are things we could learn from and for onboarding people, but uh, yeah, that's kind of how I remember it is looking around for people and like just I realized kind of early on that like there wasn't the kind of like normal social barrier that there is in person. Like you in person, you don't know if you can just go up to somebody and start listening to what they're saying. There's almost like an inherent threat there. You don't know who you can just walk up to like that. But in the metaverse, there's not that. So I was like, holy shit, I don't have any social anxiety here. I can go up and talk to anybody, and there's no like there's like no threat at all. Like the worst that somebody could, and I guess I never really thought about that, but it would be sort of the same with like Omegle or something, where you just talk to random people like that. But
Oh, I've
for
seen.
some reason, even like not being even being able to like choose my appearance had something to do with it. I think I don't know. I felt more free to be myself, and I guess for some people that could bring out a bad side of them, but for me, I was like probably friendlier than ever.
Yeah, I mean, it lets you kind of in a way develop your online self. Your online self could like align with your yourself, like could align yourself with like who you are in real life, or you could even bring out something that you didn't know you had in you, like like you were mentioning, like here I could just say hi to everyone and like um which is like kind of like a good change even for like someone such as myself. Like you may not think it, but I'm kind of like I would consider myself an any outie vert. No.
Yeah, I feel you there.
like like I can be social, but I'm not social, but I am social, but I'm not. if that all makes sense. Just
Yeah,
think
it
about it.
does. It makes perfect sense to me. I enjoy being around people, but sometimes, but I also need my alone time to recharge, I guess. And I guess that's some people consider that as what makes you an introvert, I guess, is like when you need your kind of recharge time. But I think I really enjoy being around people. I think what makes me feel awkward is that I don't know if I'm being awkward by like taking some alone time with them around, which in the form that may usually with me takes the form of me going inside myself a little bit. And you can usually see that when I'm like in my own head, I'm not really focusing on my surroundings as much. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of get that.
I see CK posing a very important question. Will there ever be peace in the land of fairies? You know, because of because of the fairies just going at it. I see Josh cleared out. He's like, fuck this. I want
Yeah,
peace.
I'm pretty sure I've seen you kick Mikey in the head like 3 times.
And then Cube comes over here and kicks me in the head like 3 times.
He's just an innocent bystander too, man. He's not even a fairy.
I'm blessing him with flying powers. That's all. He'll soon be able to fly.
Wait, I think I have one of these emotes. Do I need to join in on this?
Maybe, perhaps. I mean, which one do you have? The Rustan fairy emote?
I think I have the other one.
The one I use is the refraction emote. Little do these guys know that I am. If I had wings, the wings would be flapping eternal love, or yes, yes, I love you, Crypto Cube and old guy. I'm I'm hunting you.
Yeah, I've got the Pixie Immelman turn.
Yep, that one's it. Refraction did a very, very good job with this one.
I agree.
Let's see, can I get some wings on without... Oh yeah, with the new backpack update. Was that you, or was that my backpack doing that noise?
That was me turning into a fairy.
Oh, okay.
Oh shit. I didn't stay in character though.
Oh, hello. Do we have a voice actor in the building?
I mean, I can hook you up if you need something.
Can you write me a quote? Let's see.
I don't know. You want me to do some? What's your weirdest thing you want me to impersonate?
What's the
It has
weirdest
to be a thing though. It
thing?
can't be people. I don't want to do people.
You
It's
don't
gotta be
want
just
to...
like you know, come up with some weird character.
It's gotta...
Put you on the spot.
I'm over here trying to look for a backpack. Maybe I don't have any backpacks that are connected to my face or anything like that. No, maybe not. I'm sad now. Oh, shit! We're back. Live, everyone.
Did you rug us?
No.
No.
I just like came out of my backpack and you're like, hey. So as
I guess you don't see me
there we go.
change my emote when you're in your backpack, huh? That's the new thing we've learned.
We learn something every day. There will be war in the land of fairies. Holy shit. Oh, I see that Cube's kind of put on a pair of wings.
Nice.
But okay, so what was like kind of the first group in Decentraland that kind of like you felt comfortable with and kind of like started your creative path with?
Well, after a few times of hanging out with Paladin and Munmund and World, they both recommended me to join Last Life, which was at the time seemed more exclusive. It seems like everybody's kind of a part of Last Slice now. But then it was kind of sold to me as like, hey, it's this social club, but also you can learn a lot about the SDK because that was something I was just barely getting into at the time. And I guess it was the fact that I had bought a plot in Etheria, like one of those Etheria deeds, and built something with the builder. and that showed the friends that I had met, like, oh, he's actually kind of serious. So they kind of recommended me to join Last Slice, and that's when I got to meet just a lot of cool people. Lastrom, Rustan, geez, there's so many. I'm trying to think who specifically was in it back then. I remember the Crypto Tengu joined right around the time that I did.
Love
I mean, there's
that,
there's
man.
so many like awesome people in there. I feel bad to even start naming anybody because like I would have to name everybody. Like Peanut Butt is in there. I don't know. It's unfair to me for me to continue name. I'm just like naming people that I feel like everybody knows, so that like that's where so they know that's where I met them. But I also feel like everybody in the community knows each other. So I don't know. If I didn't mention you, no, nothing personal. There's just too many of us.
There's too many of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that comment you had made like when you first explained like Last Slice, like um even like from my personal point of view, like because as I'm seeing, like we kind of started in the same times.
Mm.
Like even to me, like Last Slice seemed like an exclusive group of ethical hackers that just knew everything about the Decentraland. Not minus the ethical hacker part. I just added it because it sounds cool. Um, and so then
Yeah.
kind of kind of putting in the time in Decentraland and kind of like getting to the point where like, hey, perhaps maybe like I should pick up a Last Slice myself. So yeah, I'm even a Last Slice holder these days. Shout out to the Crypto Tengu. He sold me his extra. I have issue number 16.
Oh, nice. That's a pretty low number. I think
Yes.
I forget. I think I was like 221 or something.
Nice. Did you like at the time was it like minting or did you pick it up off the second market?
I think it was
Secondary.
a second or third batch by then.
Okay, okay, I see.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, big shout out to the Last Slice and currently like what they're working on Angzar. Did you ever well, actually maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here. Maybe not. Did you ever kind of work on any cool projects with Last Slice that you can speak about?
Yeah. No, you're not getting ahead of yourself. I feel like that's the logical next step. Yeah, Splice actually ended up being a pretty huge opportunity for me, and the Splice I bought definitely paid itself off. Um, because back then it was kind of at the peak of metaverse hype. So I got to work on one of the early Samsung projects, the one where you were able to craft your own NFT from 3 different animal paths. Uh, that was really cool. I built the inventory system on that one, which was pretty like complex from a programming point of view because it wasn't just like you could pick up any item. It was like there were 3 different paths, and you could pick 3 different items from each path. But there were 3 different types of items that you could select, and you could only select one type of each item. So there total like I don't know, there ended up being like 48 different combinations of or 148. I don't know. There was a lot of different combinations of
Mhm.
potential NFT rarities that ended up um, that these like collectible items ended up being crafted into. So as far as I know, Last Life has to get all the credit for being one of the first to make craft your own NFTs in Decentraland because I haven't seen anything like that since.
Okay, that is cool. That is cool, and a little bit of Last Slice history that I'm learning here.
Yeah. And
I,
then after that came Snapple and Netflix, and I wasn't super involved with Netflix. I helped kind of create a path system just to make sure people were like going through the path and not finding some weird way to game the system. Um, and then with Snapple, I kind of did a little bit more leading on that development, and um, man, just made like programmed all the different dialogues all the different characters had, and uh, the cat and the bodega would give you like a random Snapple fact. I don't think I'm technically allowed to say I did any of that. So theoretically, someone who's not me made all that.
Yes, and theoretically, it was very cool.
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, Snapple was a really, really cool, like really interesting build. Like, I love the, like, going from the corner bodega to like a dream world. Like,
Yeah, it was a pretty cool concept. I think they ended up being honored as a nominee for the Webby Awards for that build,
oh
which is
my,
pretty cool. Of
yes.
course, because that master service agreement that meant none of us were allowed to get any credit that none of us actually knew about until the end of the project. I guess it was like some fine print kind of shit in the contract. That's kind of why I'm not allowed to talk about that. But I don't
That's why we don't talk about it. What were we talking
know.
about again?
what what were we talking about? I didn't say anything at all.
We didn't say anything at all. So, yeah, big shout out to Last Slice, and kind of, I guess, would you recommend Last Slice to anyone in the community that's trying to like learn how to code or like get started, or would you say it's more of a advanced, yeah, more of an advanced community where like at least know a little something before jumping in?
It's hard to say. Like I feel like a lot of what Slice used to be is accomplished now in the community building Decentraland. And Last Place is kind of focusing so much of their efforts on Angzar now that uh, it might be hard to get like time from the people that can really show you valuable stuff. So I think, especially if it would be like a financial barrier for anybody, that at least a good starting point would be to start this to join the CBD Discord and like see who's available to help in there because most of us are in there too.
Yeah, I mean, like early on, for just giving my personal experience, like I was poor boy, so I didn't have like 0.25 ETH to in bull run plus high gas to like kind of invest into it. So like my journey was kind of like there was no free well, of course there was the people, but the people weren't kind of like gathered, or there was just like if you wanted to learn you'd have to like search in one area and then ask this person and then jump over to this other Discord and learn this other thing from someone else.
Yeah, the tricky part about the people building like the most compelling stuff in Decentraland is they're so busy doing it that you rarely see them,
Hmm.
and that also unfortunately comes with the downside of a lot of us not really being as tied in with the community as we should be. And I've definitely heard that complaint from people about like the foundation because a lot of us don't even know most of the time what they're working on, which is not really necessarily a fault, but it's like I don't know. It's hard to tell. I mean, it's getting easier to see now that they're like listening and focusing on community guidance and kind of seeing what the community wants and what we think are pain points. But definitely early on, it was really hard to tell. And in fact, I remember when I first came into Decentraland and saw those people with the names without the hash and the numbers. I was like, oh, are they developers? Are they the I'm thinking like, are they the GMs? You know, because I used to play like Final Fantasy and other MMOs and stuff. So I'm thinking like, oh, maybe they're like the game, the people working on this thing or something. But it took me a little while to understand what the concept of names behind there. But um, yeah, there was some kind of draw to. I knew something was up with people having their own name,
Yeah, those were the cool kids. No,
right?
just kidding to anyone that doesn't have a name. But if you don't have a name, the mana's pretty cheap right now.
Yeah, the barrier to entry is lower on that than it ever has been before. I think gas prices alone to buy a name back then were like 300 USD.
Yeah, so my experience when I was buying my name, it was January 2022. Um, I, I believe mana was like around like $3 a piece, maybe 380 around there, 350, 380. And gas was just as much. So yes, my sinful name is worth more than monies to me, I guess.
Yeah, man, it's weird. For a second, my brain broke because I was
Yeah.
multitasking to get you a link to my music for whenever you need it,
Sick.
and that it reverted back to thinking you were talking about gasoline, and I thought about
Those-
how for the pandemic, gas prices were lower than they had ever been at any point in my driving history. Just weird shit happens.
Just weird shit happens. Um, I guess like kind of talking about foundation could be a good time to kind of transition into this question.
Sure.
Um, okay, so you had been in Miami in back in November for NFT Miami, and so was I, and we both had an opportunity to meet with members of the foundation.
Yeah.
And kind of and got together with them and actually got we got put in little workshops and stuff, and they asked us about our opinions, our thoughts, and our feelings. um so kind of with all the shifts that have been going on like within foundation, like I personally, I think I count like three people that were in Miami are no longer at their positions within the foundation. Uh,
Really.
yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Would you think kind of the opinions and thoughts that we shared with them are will still be valued with the new team coming in, or do you think it's kind of like we have to try over again?
Oh man, I hadn't really considered that. Yeah, all three of the people that were kind of, well, not all three. There was a few more than three, but I feel like the three. It seemed like the three highest ranking people, or maybe not rank. I don't know. Three like major players that were there are no longer there, and they seem to have a pretty good philosophy that jived with what we were telling them. So I don't know. Is that worrisome? It could be,
Could
but
be.
I don't know. We the new people deserve a chance too, I guess. And people like Yemel have still been a part of the foundation.
Mm-hmm. He's been
Um,
involved. He's been in the DAO, working in the DAO this entire time.
yeah. So
So I mean, they definitely do deserve a chance. I like to. I've been asking that question to like whenever I'm hanging out with anyone that was in Miami with us back in November, kind of like their thoughts on the shifts.
that's a good question. Yeah, I hadn't really considered that.
Yeah, I like personally. I think I think they left a very good sticky note. The last team left a very good sticky note for the next team to come in and pick up where they left off. Um, let's see. Like, I saw that there was a proposal put up by Maria and Peanut Butter to kind of like start these like IRL meetups, I believe. If I'm here, let me before I.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, yeah. And so it's I think it's a very cool idea to kind of like have something at least that focuses on the web 2 or physical world applications of everything, you know.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential for the idea of attendance tokens in real life. As somebody who's lost all my best ticket stubs that I've collected over my years.
Oh no. Oh, now I'm kind of like thinking, where are my ticket stubs? I have a a dead mouse ticket stub somewhere from 2013.
Yeah, at
Um,
some point I resorted to starting a music. Oh man, if you're a music fan and you're young and you don't like to pay for concerts, get ready for a fucking major life pro tip. When I was in college, I started a music blog and I wrote like a few articles and took videos of just local bands around the area, and then I used the articles that I made and the videos I had taken and like sent the website to touring managers for the bands that I liked. And then I would get a press pass and I would get to go up like in front of the barriers for the first 3 songs to take pictures and videos. And it was fucking amazing, dude. I went to get like so many concerts that I wanted to go to. I went to Warped Tour at one point and got to go in front of all the barriers at every show. So yeah, I don't know. I'm letting out some serious alpha here, but if you're a major music fan and you want to put in a little bit of work and like writing, I mean, shit, it's probably easier than ever now with AI. Just like tell AI a little bit about the band, and tweak it to say what you want it to say. But yeah, I had so much fun doing that, and I totally forget why I even brought that up. But
Speaking about music and whatnot. Oh yeah, IRL stuffs. I did find the proposal, and it's not a proposal, it was a poll.
oh
Looks
yeah,
like
good
it
stubs.
looks like it got a lot of support, so I mean, hope to see
Nice.
how this kind of moves forward. It would be fun to kind of start having some IRL events, like and kind of like even to see like how it would be implemented, like whether it would be like with big events like NFT Miami and NYC and stuff like that, or if they'd go like kind of like a smaller route. I don't know, or a different route.
Yeah, I think it's is our community really fitting of the conference vibe, or are we closer to the festival vibe? Or are we somewhere in between?
Yep.
I feel like we're somewhere in between. Like a festival might get too weird,
Not to
but
mention like I do see the possibilities, like not even like thinking just Web3 for the IRL application is actually um like not a wrong way to think about it, but like it's very limiting. Like I think DCL could get into like some hackathons and like those kinds of conferences as well, like tech conferences, virtual reality as well.
yeah, totally. They should be trying to get on the cutting edge of as much as they can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most
Yeah.
definitely get more eyes of like the community as well as like even cybersecurity conferences. Because like we can never make I think we can never make Decentraland too safe. Like we need more people that kind of like know or like or maybe even like developers to like come in and create the applications that will keep people's wallets safe. Of course, there's a lot to that mission, but
Yeah, man.
there's
It's
always that
hard.
crazy person that will want to take it on.
I feel like when it comes to storing private keys and encryption, like if somebody has it, that's that. So it's like some degree that's it has to be like a behavioral thing that we. I mean, but even our community is like really good about understanding that hot wallets aren't safe. And dude, even my hot wallet got compromised, and like it was money that I put in there knowing it could get compromised. So I wasn't that mad about it, but I was like, "Fuck, man, I don't even know what I did wrong." Like,
Still,
so yeah, no, I mean, I know several things that I did wrong. Like I had given somebody access to the private key, which was obviously a
no.
failure, but it was a trusted person.
Oh.
It was a trusted person. I still don't know if it was them because they would really honestly have no reason to do that, and I think they have a lot of better uses for their time and
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah,
Um,
perhaps, I mean, it could like rule very deep, like that person's hardware is compromised and
yeah,
like it
well,
wasn't even
even the
them.
fact that like there's another layer is that I shared it in a file over Discord, and I didn't even realize it's in that file. So it's up in the Discord database somewhere now, and everything that was in that file is compromised, as far as I'm concerned. Because
Mm-hmm.
if it wasn't that person I gave it to, it could be someone at Discord. It could be somebody that hacked Discord. It could be literally like it could be the entire world at this point. Like it could be you.
So
Could be me hacking myself from the future. Like, who knows?
I guess we could kind of segue into this topic since we're talking about what got hacked or what hot wallet got hacked. Um yeah, could you kind of tell us about VLM? What is VLM, Virtual Land Manager, and kind of like,
Man,
yeah, share with us like what you've been working on.
I set up. I just set you up for the best ever segue into it, huh? About how I got hacked. But that allows me a chance to explain how I'm gonna make it better, I guess. So,
Hmm.
what got hacked was a wallet that I was using for wearable airdrops. So it basically just had Matic in there used for transactions that would send airdrops to people, and all the Matic got drained. And then after the Matic got drained, they didn't have any money left to pay for the transaction fees to transfer anybody's wearables. So I wasn't too worried about it at that point, but I did ask everybody to revoke the minting access or minting right to that wallet, which you can do through the marketplace. So uh, pretty good feature. And that's probably like that's when I redo this, there's going to be a lot better approach. So um, hang on to your seatbelts for 1 second while we get slightly technical, just in case there's any developers that are interested in this. I won't go into the tech stuff too long, but basically I had the key stored in an environment file, which actually lives on the server that the application is running on, that like receives the giveaway claims for an event. Um, like when an event is held and you give away an item to get airdropped by the virtual land manager service, it would go up to the server, and that server had the private key stored on it. So, but there's another attack vector for you. So now I'm gonna move to having that key stored in like a secrets repository, which is sort of another server, like mini server in a way, dedicated to that purpose. That you can different providers like AWS, Amazon AWS will provide that, or certain like password managers sometimes have their own form of it. Like 1Password, I think, has their like a server you can run to kind of act as a secrets manager. So I'm gonna move to doing that, and then there's gonna be basically like a job server that takes the request for the giveaway, the claims on the item that's being given away, and kind of batches them up and sends them out every 5 minutes or so. So it kind of lowers the cost for everybody that's involved, because eventually this would be a paid service. But the idea is this will be just one of many services offered by Virtual Land Manager, which is a suite of tools, I guess you could say, to connect the entire metaverse. I kind of started here in Decentraland. It was a way that Samsung was controlling kind of the billboards and videos and different images for different events in their scene. And they also were able to create kind of some custom controls. So I'll go into kind of like one by one the different features that Virtual Land Manager or VLM can do, and then I'll kind of get into the grant that I'm getting ready to submit for it.
Do you have like any video of of anything to show that you can kind
Um,
of like go off of, or?
I don't have any. I'm like in the middle of putting together a little demo video for release with the grant, but since we're at DollHouse, DollHouse is actually already enabled with Virtual Land Manager version 1. So if you want to see it in action, we can move around some things. I did get permission from Tang to do that tonight.
What are we moving around tonight?
Um, we can move the screen up and down.
With pedestrians on the screen?
Oh yeah, we might knock Tang right off, huh? She's already floating above it. How does that work? Should we just like give her some support? There's gonna be like a 20-second delay between when I do this and when they see it, so we might as well talk about it for 20 seconds or so before they actually
Oh,
see it
yes.
happen, huh?
Yes,
All
up.
right. All right, I'm gonna do it, and in like 20 seconds, everyone's gonna see it. But hopefully by now they've heard me say that something like this is going to happen, so they won't be too surprised. Here it goes, everybody. I did this 20 seconds ago. Oh gosh, where'd Tang go?
Oh, yep.
I can't see her anymore. Oh my
Oh,
god.
oh.
Look, sorry, Tang. Sorry. Okay.
Okay, we're
Okay.
putting it back. We're putting it back. I'm sorry, Tang. You just blocked Tang.
She's like, hey, you almost knocked me off over here.
Yeah, I saw her little jumps of anger. Oops.
Oops, sorry.
Lol.
Now she's dancing her little sassy dance up there.
So, what would you say, like when someone asks you what is virtual land manager, what is kind of the spiel, or the, not the spiel, but like the kind of
Yeah.
like the bio, like what do you usually like call it?
So it's like it's a website. Well, it's kind of a bunch of things. Right now it's a website tool. It's a tool that has a website. It could also be on a mobile app one day, and I'm planning to kind of build it into each world, including Decentraland as I go. So it's basically a way to add things into your scene and be able to move them, scale them, rotate them in real time. Uh, and for videos, there's a way. There's a few like streaming specific features, like um, my if I share my screen with you, are you able to stream that?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
I can show V1, I guess, of virtual land manager, where it's at right now, what the dollhouse controls look like.
Here, let me get you set up. All right, you're good to go.
Sweet. So right now it has your stream in there, and this lets her, or any assistant that she wants to help her out, any virtual land manager, so to speak. So it's a tool, but it's also a job title. I'll kind of get into more of my vision as we go. But for video screens, you can basically add a live video link, and then you can enable or disable the live stream. So if you wanted to start streaming to like your RTMP endpoint, and test a few things out on like a HLSplayer.com or something before you actually started streaming into the metaverse, you could do that by kind of streaming and then toggling this switch to actually start streaming into the metaverse, or whatever you're seeing in whichever metaverse you happen to install it in. Right now, there's only support for Decentraland, but like I'll get into the future plans to integrate with Hyperfi and other places. So essentially, there are some things in place as well that kind of help you optimize. Like with videos, you add a video source, which is like the actual clip or video, like the link to what you want to play, the content, and then you can make multiple instances of that. So that just makes it so it kind of shares the material, because in Decentraland, a lot of things are coded in a similar way that they're kind of 3D modeled, where
they take up triangles.
Yeah, everything has a certain amount of triangles, and then there are materials, and so there's a limit to how many materials you can use, and a limit to how many triangles you can use. So the way this works is it sets up one material, and then each instance is just 2 triangles because it's a plane. So it makes it pretty well optimized. And then we also have images. And I forgot to, I don't want to hide and show the video screen because everyone's watching us on that, but we can hide Muse if we want to switch events. Bye, Muse. Sorry, I wanted to get that over with. Rip that band-aid off. We like the Muse. We want to keep them. But you can see some of the other, like we got a Gucci toe logo in here that's used for some other events. I'm not sure what this one is, but it's beautiful. The flowered lady.
Looks like Zan's work.
Yes. For text art meets music. So each of these images, you can set them to be transparent. There's a few more advanced features in here I'll get to. You can add a click event. So I'm not going to change anything tag, I promise. You can make it so when you click on an image, it just you can add a website link. You can have it play a sound. You can move the player within your scene, or you can teleport them to a different scene. Or you can just have it do nothing. And then there's also a tracking only option, which is basically you can set up your own custom event to show up in the analytics panel, which is it's janky in version 1, but I have improved it quite a bit with version 2 from honestly Samsung and Snapple and other big events that kind of used this to track some analytics. And what I quickly learned with analytics is there's a lot of effing data, and I can't exactly go back and be like, yep, that actually happened, because like it's in the past, and I would have to actually be there. And explaining that to people like seemed ridiculously hard to do for some reason. Like I don't know, like that makes sense to you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But to other people, I don't know. I don't know. They didn't get it. They were like, well, we want you to go and prove that this works. Like people at Samsung and whatnot, theoretically.
I feel like any type of metrics that are being like grabbed currently on Decentraland aren't like proven metrics in a way.
Yeah.
Like so we're still in the beginning of developing even what that framework looks like.
And there's definitely some tweaking to be done. I mean, like for example, this shows 20,000 emotes being used. We all know why that is, but that doesn't make for very useful data. So I need to figure out a way to filter out auto dance
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But we can at least, for now, filter out those events and make a more usable amount of data. So we have like events for when a player disconnected, when someone became idle, when someone became active. So the new system is going to be more of like every time you join a virtual LAN manager enabled scene, you're going to be assigned a session, and that session is going to kind of record when you entered and when you left, and along the way it'll kind of record pathways and what you were kind of what each pathway, I guess different types of pathways. So there's kind of the way I've coded it, 4 different states somebody can be in. They're either walking, running, maybe there's 5. You're either walking, running, stationary and engaged, or you're stationary and not engaged, or you're idle. So like idle would be is like the state that you can actually listen for from the SDK. And I guess it's like when you unfocus your mouse or like completely go away from the tab of the browser, basically.
Okay, that's idle.
Yeah. Stationary and disengaged would be like you're standing in place and you're still looking at the Decentraland window, but you've like done the thing where you've unlocked your cursor and you're interacting with something in the UI. Another state, obviously moving and walking, or walking and running are kind of self-explanatory. And then stationary and engaged is like you're standing in place, moving your cursor around. So when you're moving, it's gonna kind of record your path, and then it's gonna get pretty granular as far as what people do in the scene. But I also really want to respect people's privacy, so the plan is to build a way for anybody who's not interested in using VLM or associating with it or being tracked by it to just go to the VLM website and opt out from all this stuff. And they'll just be tracked as like an unknown user. So it won't say their name, it won't record their path. So I do want to incorporate some advanced like privacy focused features for the people that prefer to keep their metaverse privacy intact.
It's funny you said that, because like as I was thinking, I was like, Big Brother VLM is watching. Then you're like, well, we do we do want to, privacy is very important to VLM.
Yeah, yeah, it really is, especially in the metaverse. Like, I don't know. Um, I, I really don't want to see Web3 turn into more Web2, where people are making money off of other people's, like, off invading other people's privacy, basically, and that becoming sort of an attack vector for manipulating how people think. And I don't know, if you can change how people think and make it more privy to the type of thing you want to advertise to them, then you have a monetary incentive to do that, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't want to get into any of that.
Is there like, do you foresee of like a future where VLM will have kind of like a dynamic experience studio?
Could possibly, yeah. I actually had. It's funny you mentioned that. I have an in-person like brick and mortar studio here on the Space Coast of Florida that right now is just kind of my code studio, but trying to make it into like a streaming studio and like a video production studio. I don't know, like just a creative technology, like anything you can think of to come and create. I thought about doing like coding summer camps for kids, or some kind of like, I don't know. My wife is a teacher, so I I interact with a lot of kids, and I have a daughter, and I just really like kids. They're they're super cool and they're fun to learn from, and I feel like kids are a lot easier to teach than adults because they like go into stuff already, like, I don't know. Maybe it's just that I expect them not to know things, and I'm the problem because man, it's so easy for me to teach something to my daughter because I'm like, oh, this is so exciting. I get to show her this for the first time. Where like certain things, if I am showing my wife something, I feel myself getting frustrated that she doesn't know this already. But that's not really fair, you know. But it's just that I see her as my equal, so I'm like, if I know this, how don't you fucking know this? But I don't know. It's tough love between us, I guess.
Stuff love, stuff love.
Yeah.
Did how was the Minecraft session with was it last week that it happened? Or not Minecraft, Roblox.
It was Roblox, but it's funny you mentioned Minecraft because that is kind of where my daughter got her start as a gamer.
Gaming
Um,
gamer.
and that's where we kind of bonded over games too. Is she got me into Minecraft, and we both got to experience the absolute like heartbreak of making our first fuck, what's it, the netherite sword, like in not in survival mode. And we like enchanted it. We did all this, and then I went in a cave, man, and I ran out of food. Just did stupid noob shit. Like I probably did something dumb, like dug straight down. I just like I lost, you know, and I died, and I didn't know how to get back to my netherite sword in time. And I think that might have been the day we stopped playing Minecraft. Like it was heartbreaking.
We don't want to play Minecraft anymore, Dad. We play Roblox. We've grown up now. We've experienced life. We've experienced heartbreak. Of like,
Yeah,
just grinding hours and hours for a feature for something, and then just to have it all taken away in the blink of an eye.
yeah,
Kind of like crypto.
man. Yeah, Minecraft is probably a good preparation for crypto.
Oh, kids are gonna love crypto when they get here. They're gonna be like, it's just like Minecraft.
Yeah. Here, kids, let's learn about margin trading by going as far down into this cave as we can go.
And you're liquidated.
R.I.P.
RIP. What did we learn today? Well, we learned not to blow our loads all at once. Spread out your money.
You don't want to get your netherite sword and armor liquidated.
Oh, lol. So are there any other features pertaining to VLM that you would like to show, or are there any other features that kind of that take away from stress on the scene?
Yeah. So actually, the original idea that got this whole thing started was when Rustan wanted me to build something to get rid of the roaches in his pool. When
You're
who was it?
responsible of the roach bouncer.
Yep. Sorry, everybody. Who was it that came up with the roaches? I totally forget.
Roach Killer, Roach Killer.
Roach Killer. I knew it was Roach something or something Roach.
Nikki Fuego had made the wearable, I believe.
That's that's an interesting set of DCL trivia I didn't know. I love Nikki. That's awesome.
Some history, some DCL history.
So yeah, this moderation section kind of got its start there because I realized I could make it into a sort of little dashboard where you could ban not just roaches but any wearables. I can black out your screen right now, Thin. It looks like we've banned somebody recently called Goocher.
Oh no, poor Goocher.
Poor Goocher. They must have been being quite a gooch.
They must have not been being nice. So, okay, so this is even cool that you can kind of ban people off your scene. So like, let's say,
Oh god, the roach.
The
There's
roach.
Dr. Drip on the roach. Dr. Drip on the roach.
Dr. Drip wants you to
no.
add the roach bouncer.
He wants to get bounced.
But oh crap, what? Oh yeah, so what would happen if kind of like the scene stops using VLM and all the wallets that were banned from the scene, yeah, what would happen if the person stops using VLM? Like, would all the wallets that were banned before kind of be allowed back in?
Yeah, unfortunately, because it's the VLM code that's blocking them out. Right now, it just blacks out your screen and gives you a link to teleport to Genesis Plaza, which can actually be overcome pretty easily if you just hit U. But then if you hit U, that disables the UI and you can't chat, so you can't troll.
Can you like, instead of like telling them to go to Genesis Plaza, can you like add like a custom sign that's like teleport here, and it's like just like, I don't know, a build of like a toilet, and like the person spawns inside the toilet?
I mean, anything's possible. With code, I could do anything. It's just a matter of like if I can get enough time. My real dream is to be able to break away from Web 2 work and like let the metaverse become my full-time job. Because Web 2 work is just draining me, and I'm like, I'm over it. And I can't I can't even get a better Web 2 job right now because my best work is what I'm showing you right now is VLM. So when anybody asks me like, what's your best work, I can't even say it was at a certain company. It's just like this shit I've been doing in my off hours because I hate my job.
I get it. I mean, at least like in Web3, you're like kind of doing what you like. You're doing what you love.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier to grind for something, you know?
Yeah, so Billy T Coin in the chat said that he needs this. He needs VLM. So for anyone listening that may want to kind of test VLM for you or whatever, be one of the alpha users, what would be the best way for them to contact you about this in particular?
Well, I had version 1 set up so that I have to like manually onboard every person, which I realized pretty quickly wasn't going to be scalable long term. So right now you can go to vlm.gg and sign up as a user, and it's like so close to done. I actually had plans to have it ready tonight to show on this podcast, but yeah, shit happens, and it's just so hard. Like there's been so many false summits in this project where I think I'm at the top of the mountain and I'm like, oh damn, that part of the mountain was just blocking this part of the mountain. So there's like, now I'm at the point where it has to be within the next like few days to a week or so, and I'm pretty ready to submit the proposal. And if this proposal passes, it will enable free use for everybody in Decentraland for like 3 to 5 years is the estimate. So
yeah, 3 to 5 years. That honestly, that is pretty good. Like for for like usage. Yeah, usually the proposals that I've seen that kind of like want to offer a service are probably like thinking as far as like the grant is on. So like let's say 6 months, it's like okay, people get to use this for 6 months now. Have fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm literally just like requesting an amount that covers what I estimate the server costs will be. And I'm pretty much gonna bank it and use all of it just for that and like account for it specifically. Um, and be pretty transparent about that to the DAO, as transparent as I can. Even if that means like I mean, AWS has some pretty great tools for analyzing costs and whatnot and breaking it down. So I'd be happy to share some of that stuff with the DAO. Obviously, once I start getting to the point where I'm able to expand it into other metaverses, because that is the goal I should probably get into, is this site I've built and the back end for it is basically already baked into it is the capability to bring this into other metaverses. I basically just have to integrate this platform with each individual metaverse now, um, and that's a relatively small task. I think Hyperfy is going to make it especially easy for me.
Yeah, I actually wanted to kind of even ask you like kind of how it like at this point would VLM in a way be competing with Hyperfy or or is it like building kind of like or like the development of both are they like complementing each other? Because as far as like I my knowledge goes with Hyperfy Builder, it's very um like everything happens at real time, so you can have multiple operators building and putting stuff together at the same time, and stuff moves like in real time.
Yeah, as far as like core functionality of Hyperfy, I think most of what VLM tries to replace in Decentraland is kind of already there.
Hmm.
But I think where it would become valuable is if you want to deploy the same scene in Decentraland and in Hyperfy, like say the Rockin' Unicorns did,
Hmm.
you could do that and manage both scenes from the same dashboard.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, that's really cool.
yeah, and
Eh,
the goal is to eventually have um, like you could do that for one scene in multiple worlds. So expanding into other places like Monaverse, uh, on Cyber. Man, there's so many these days. It's like maybe Sandbox. I don't know. I really have to like look at all these individual SDKs to know for sure what I'd be able to integrate with. But from what I've looked at in Hyperfy, I think I would be able to do a lot.
okay.
Yeah.
And so kind of how would mem like perhaps probably you're maybe thinking about this, but I could like maybe spark some thoughts for you to like for future stuff. Um, okay, let's say you had just mentioned the Rocking Unicorns, that they are kind of using their VLM, or they could use their VLM for both controlling uh, their Decentraland plot and Hyperfy world through one dashboard. How
Yeah, and that's just an example of someone I know who has two different builds. I think they actually have their own similar system.
how would
But yeah,
like let's say the subscription side of things, like for someone that has assets in Decentraland or has uses virtual land manager on Decentraland and has a world somewhere else, like kind of would they have to sign up for VLM for each individual world, or would there kind of like the Decentraland membership be good for them controlling other worlds as well?
ooh, that's a good question. Um, I haven't thought too much about it, but I guess it would be a premium service. I don't know. It seems unfair to give Hyperfy that advantage if they're DAO, if they don't have a DAO that's like paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it would also kind of give Decentraland people uh, an advantage. But I guess it would just be kind of hard to track um, who actually started in Decentraland
I see, I
versus
see.
just like like would the bar just be like if you have a Decentraland scene then you can use it for free, and then you can use any other scenes. I don't know. That doesn't actually sound that unfair.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah,
But like the way that I would kind of track it, I guess an idea could be like through the sign up. It's like under the central or under like what metaverse are you using this for or whatever. And
or like whatever. I guess you well.
maybe
Because the way you first register your scene with the VLM is by putting like an identifier code in your scene.json file. So I'm trying to think of a way, like maybe the first scene that gets connected, but I don't know. I think a better approach that might drive more use of Decentraland might just be to say, if you have a Decentraland scene, then you get to use it for free.
You get to try VLM for free.
Yeah. But then it's like, do they just put one image in their Decentraland scene and then they get to like ball out in HyperPy?
Oh.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess I gotta put some more thought into that one, because that's a good question, and I'm sure that would come up in the grant forum.
It's one of those that like literally just came up. Like I know we've spoken about this before and stuff like that, or like bounced ideas and never really thought of that one. Oh my god, dude, so Dr. Drip's like roach flying around is freaking me out because I'm seeing it on my laptop screen, and it like I'm like, is there a fucking real roach right in front of my face?
Only in Florida, man. I'm just glad I got the flip phone. You ever seen that guy?
Yes. Oh wait, it wasn't Dr. Drip, it was Brandon, maybe.
I think Drip had a roach earlier. It's hard to tell when everybody's tiny.
Yes, the fairy wars are still happening. We're still going strong.
Man, yeah, flying roaches are definitely some Florida shit, though.
Oh my god, yes, the little fuckers, those little fuckers that look like fucking moths, and then they fucking land on you, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, how could you fly?
Yeah.
Yeah, they like climb up the walls or the trees and then glide down, like fucking psychopaths. Sorry.
Little fucking psychos. No, we're allowed to fucking curse on Beyond the fucking NFT.
Oh, I was more apologizing for making you imagine the horror that one experiences with one of these fucking beasts in the room, man.
Like fuck. Okay, so we've covered Virtual Land Manager, we covered Little Miami.
Oh yeah, really quick. There's also customizations, which is going to be sort of an advanced feature in VLM, and I'll add some of these in here because there's no integration to make them work. But basically, you can create your own little dashboard, and I'm going to make this look a little bit nicer in V2, but you can essentially make your own toggle and give it a name. Sin's mute button. And then you can, like, I don't know, I could set up some kind of code in my scene that responds to this button changing, and you get like a true or false on the scene side to tell. But whatever you want to happen, pretty much. Or you can put in text. I think for Samsung we used this to put like a date string in, and it would open the doors automatically for us at a certain time. Yeah, that was cool. And then you can set up like your own drop down. So you go into edit selections here, and you can like, I don't even remember how long it took me to make this. It seems like if I did it right now, it would take a while. But at some point I made this, and you get to create your own drop down. So like, I don't know. What control do you want to make, Sin?
Dude, what control do I want to make?
Yeah, if you were a control and you had options we could change you to, what kind of options would there be?
Wait, options you can change me to? Like my entire avatar? I mean, if it would be possible to turn me into a Mew bubble.
Sure. That's an option.
That's an option.
So like each of these has kind of a name that shows up in the drop down, and then a kind of unique ID that you can use on the back end, or I guess it's sort of like on the front end because this is the back end. To like, I could run some sort of if I had a Mew mannequin, I could select this toggle to switch your wearable to the Mew bubble, for example. So I think for CK's CK when we did CK bubbles scene for Metaverse Fashion Week, we didn't use the drop down. We ended up using a text string to tell the mannequin which emote to use. So you can do cool little things like that if you're like comfortable with just a little bit of light code.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of has some more advanced developer features too. But yeah, I think that was the last thing. There's also a plan to add like sounds and stuff that you can move around, and obviously the events were never really fully integrated into version one. So I still have all of that event data, all the claims everybody's made, and all the wearables that they've been given on the giveaways over the years. And I have sort of like a dashboard in progress to be able to view that as well.
Nice. Um,
Yeah,
oh, I guess a quick question. Is the Studio Sparkle Campfire City mode back and running?
not yet, unfortunately.
Not yet. Okay.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get that job server up and running for the giveaway system. But yeah, hopefully like sometime this week.
Mm, nice,
I've been
nice.
saying that. Oh man, I'm so time blind though. I should really like. I hate to sound like a dick, but I should really just start telling people like it'll be ready when it's ready. Not out of like me saying that to be a dick, but me saying that because like that's honestly my best estimate. Because like I don't know. I think I came on the CBD space like a month and a half or 2 months ago and said I'd be done in 2 weeks to a month. So, dude, I don't know. It's my ADHD. I think it's like impossible for me to tell how long anything is going to take because like I'm like sure I can drive down the road and go to the store and you know do grocery shopping and then drive back home and I'll be back home in time for my appointment that I have in 30 minutes or call that I have in 30 minutes. It's just
A lot.
yeah, and time also just like flies by for me. So and when I'm like really focused. So when it sucks 'cause whenever I feel like I'm being super productive, I feel like I lose the most time. So I I get in this like super productive state where I'm hyper focused, and then I'm like, shit, it's 6 a.m. How how'd that happen? I have to work in 3 hours.
Yeah,
So
totally. Like I've been in those calls with you where you're just like working away at VLM, and next thing you know, it's like 6 a.m. and we're still fucking bullshitting and you're still like, working on it and coding and shit like that.
yeah, yeah. I feel like at some point back in like January, I said to like my wife or somebody who was like, "When are you gonna be done with this thing?" I was like, "Just give me till June. Like, it'll definitely be done by June. Like, June is plenty of time." But yeah,
Gonna have
spoiler
to
alert. It's June, and I'm like saying 2 more weeks again.
2 more weeks. Now we're living off 2 more weeks, like time span.
This time, I think like 2 more weeks might be sandbagging the estimate, but I'm not totally sure. Like, it feels like I could get this thing running tonight after we get off this call and go deploy it somewhere. Um, but I'm not. I don't know. So I think I'm just gonna like submit my proposal and tell everybody kind of what it's gonna look like, and I'm pretty sure it would be done by and ready by the time the proposal passed or failed. So
Oh,
like,
okay.
yeah.
How much time would you say you've put into VLM in the or since you started developing it?
Hmm. I mean, I've been working on it. It seems like at least an hour a day for like over a year now. Probably closer to an average of like 2 or 3. Except for like rare occasions where I wasn't working on it. But yeah, I've just been like chipping away, and most of it was just kind of realizing that I had some scalability issues and wanting to tackle those early on instead of having kind of a nightmare for myself if I just kind of kept onboarding people and had to deal with kind of running support while also having all this kind of technical debt that I had to pay off.
Mm-hmm.
So I went ahead and paid off the tech debt ahead of time, and I think now I'm ready for big time scalability and whatever challenges that brings.
I mean, that what I just finished witnessing is, I mean, if it's a proof of concept, if I've ever seen one, like it's right there in our face, like of what can be done and what is being done right now, like, and through and like possibly through Thou helps, Thou help, this could be scaled and improved.
Yeah, totally.
I
Oh shit, are you still streaming my screen?
no, yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say I just
What about
realized
that?
I have my local development environment open for VLM. I might be able to log into that and just kind of show a little bit of a sneak preview on how that's coming together.
Yeah. All right, it's back. Oh, no. Okay, it's back
Sweet.
up.
Hold on, I just gotta spin up the API here, and then I'll be able to log in. But this is kind of the landing page. Light color scheme changed from the last version. Uh,
Everything is purple. Everything is purple. I like the how like it goes from the L to the M. I feel like you did this like as if like you were hovering over a parcel.
yeah,
That's kind
exactly.
of
The colors were where I got the when you do that in Decentraland is kind of the inspiration I got that from.
so cool.
All
Very
right, cool.
innovative.
Looks like the API is connected. Go ahead and sign a transaction or sign a not a transaction but a message to log in. And so kind of got most of the skeleton in place for the analytics. Just kind of placeholders for now until I wire up that stuff. Video screens, images are going to become art because you're going to be able to add images and NFTs. There's a new spot for the sounds. Your events panel is going to be in here.
And adding like images and sounds and videos through VLM is all like kind of cutting resources, correct? Like from like going using the VLM platform, all of this cuts resources like from Decentraland, like or cuts the load of
Yeah,
resources.
it like makes its best attempt. If you were kind of just getting into coding and you were just copying and pasting stuff, not without fully reading all the documentation, you might kind of miss how to like fully optimize things so that you're uh, reusing materials and stuff. And I know, especially with video materials, if you have two of the same, if you try to put a video in two different places without sharing that material, it'll cause some glitches in the scene because it's basically trying to load it like the same video twice at the same time from the same place. So it's like
Would
uh, interfering.
Does VLM make it easier to have more than one screen with two different things playing? Or is that still kind of like an SDK thing that you
Um, the idea is to eventually start out with a way to set like height limits for each screen. So you could do like, uh, which would obviously help like the dollhouse, where there's like a upper screen and a lower screen, and then probably expand that into being able to set up like specific zones for specific video screens if you wanted to do it that way. But yeah, there's definitely the ability to do that. I have like a whole roadmap of ideas on a Trello board somewhere that I think I shared in the prop incubator channel and the CBD Discord if anybody wants to go look at that. And that's just kind of where I've been storing all these ideas that I've had for this thing. Um, at this point, I'm into like probably well into ideas that could be accomplished in 2024. Like I'm already thinking a year or two ahead.
I love it. I love it. Just slightly out of topic. It's like CEOs like of like the biggest Fortune 500 companies, like they whenever you see them working today, they're not working on something that's like today. They're working on something like 5 years down the road. So it's always
Yeah,
it's
that wouldn't surprise me because
eh,
everybody wants to be like ahead of the curve.
mm-hmm. So I mean, I like the mentality you have going there. You're thinking ahead, for what like BLM could be. Um,
Yeah,
I
I guess to some degree I'm kind of like business minded. I'm thinking, what if I put all this time into this thing and something happens to Decentraland? Like that's obviously an aspect of my success that I can't control. So how do I like limit that risk?
mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's make this so it works in any metaverse. If we keep expanding into metaverses, then we can expand into them faster than they can be created. Eventually, we'll find the one that does well, or the group of them that does well. Because in my mind, this technology is not going anywhere, and there's probably going to be a long time before there's like the Facebook of the metaverse that kind of everybody flocks to. I think we're going to get stuck in that period of um, maybe not stuck because that has a negative connotation to it, but we're going to go through the wholesome period of having all these little sub forums in the metaverse, I think. So I don't know. Let's embrace that, I guess. And VLM can be sort of like the aggregator in some way.
Yeah, totally. I don't know. I'm getting like your vibes of like you getting hit up by other developing metaverse platforms, kind of like, yo, want to work together? Wanna
I
wanna
have, yeah.
It's
I've had a
happening
lot of
already?
well, I've had like developers ask if they can help out, and
I wonder why.
I've even had like a company or two offer like would we be able to invest in this? And the answer is always kind of the same. Like,
I don't know.
I'm only putting my own time and money into this right now, and I don't want the expectation of having of like you being able to profit off this one day because I don't have that expectation right now. So I,
I don't
I'm
even
not,
have it for myself.
yeah, I'm not gonna take you money and I'm not gonna take your money and promise you money in return if I don't even know if I'm gonna profit off of it. So
But if you allow me to take your money and make something cool without you profiting, I mean, sure.
and like same situation with developers wanting to help too. I guess it's like I love the help, but I also have like a very high level of quality control that I like to maintain, and that's not like directed at any specific person's talents because I don't really know any like specific person's ability when they ask me. But it's just like I don't want to ask anybody to work for free, but I also don't have the money to pay anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So like all I have like what I've invested in this is basically my own time and skills.
Yeah.
Um, so if this grant works out, it'll be cool. It'll be like a symbol of good faith, I feel like, from the community for me to keep going and like investing my time here. But ultimately, this is gonna happen either way, probably,
Mm-hmm.
until I run out of steam and feel completely burnt out and like it's never gonna work. But uh, I don't know. I've never like had a project that I felt had as much potential as I feel this one has. So
I love it. I love it that I love that you believe in it. And to tell you the truth, like kind of going back in this conversation when you were saying that like you're kind of limited at the moment within your industry of being able to find a better job because your best work like is Web3 related. To tell you the truth, I think like one day you showing your Web3 work will be kind of or this as your Web3 work will be like an overqualification.
that's kind of what I'm hoping for, right? Like I might be able to go from lowly dev to like CTO at a company or something. But I don't know. Right now, my goal is just to like learn and make something cool that's useful to the community, really. And if something cool comes to me out of that, then that was the plan the universe had, I guess, in the end. But yeah, um, damn, it's already midnight.
Yeah, that's what
How long? How long can we go? Because I don't want to keep you on forever, but I'm willing to talk to you forever.
Usually I cut it off at midnight or like 2 hour limit. But I mean,
That was quick.
yeah, dude. I guess we could finish off like the new VLM layout because I think I cut you off halfway through it.
There wasn't a whole lot more to it.
There's
There's
events.
kind of like the user sign in path that you can go through on the production site right now, vlm.gg. But this is the kind of public demo scene that I'm getting ready to have available for everybody within hopefully like the next few days to hours to the next hours to days to week.
To weeks to months.
It'll be done when it's done. Uh, that this will be available, and that way everybody will be able to go test it out for themselves before deciding how they want to vote on my proposal.
Mm.
Although I know a lot of you are OGs and have seen this thing in action here at DollHouse for, yeah, I think we've had it in action here since like November or December.
Mm-hmm.
So tried and tested.
Yep, that's for sure. And not many products do come to the DAO with a tested product already. Like most recently, I've seen like these proposals from like number wallets that are like, let's see, what would be the best example for this one? Oh, let's add a DEX to Decentraland. Someone comes in. Have you ever coded in Decentraland? Person avoids question. You know, like you gotta already know how to deploy shit into Decentraland if you
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of these depend on being able to hire a dev team and all that stuff. And I kind of expect that to come up in my proposal. Like, why is there such a large chunk of the budget allocated to just you? And the
I
answer is
am the
because
dev.
like that's all I right now. That's all I need. I mean, I make my own graphics. Like I do front end development, back end development, database stuff. I I know how to code in Decentraland. I know how to contribute to open source projects. Like when I get to the point where I need help, I'm gonna need a lot of it. But right now, I'm kind of the only person I need, and I think I'm probably asking for less than it would cost to hire a development team to make this. So
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's one thing's for sure. Like on your proposal, like Decentraland is getting a deal for what you've developed.
yeah, I think I even halved it from what I originally was asking for. So I was asking for 240 at one point, but I started to feel like I was trying too hard to justify that, and then I could probably separate it out at least, or at least kind of get the first part out of the way, which is I really want to get this into everybody's hands. It, whether the foundation wants to, or, I mean, whether the DAO, obviously it's not really up to the foundation, whether the DAO wants to help pay for it or not. Obviously, if the proposal doesn't pass, then I kind of have to like build out a payment system, and until I do that, it's going to be more manual onboarding and like payment management, which is just something I want to avoid. So I just see it as easier to let the DAO handle that. In this proposal, by kind of paying for the infrastructure costs and kind of my effort that I've put into it and the effort that I'm going to put into help support this and onboard people into using it, which will kind of ultimately benefit Decentraland. So forget where we started on that rant, but
but we're ending
did
it.
a lot.
Dude, so I guess would be a good time to finish up here. I guess a couple more questions. To any developers coming into the space or anyone in our community that wants to start like kind of developing within Decentraland, whether if it's a feature or getting started with SDK or whatever it may be, what would be the best a piece of advice you can give to them?
If you're like learning code for the very first time, a lot of us started out by just copying and pasting examples and seeing what works. What we affectionately called the fuck around and find out method. So
Has coin turned by Oddjob.
yeah, there are a few weird kind of like I guess it depends on someone's technical level. I guess if they're looking to get into coding, they're probably already pretty good with computers, but obviously there's like a program you'll have to download and then an extension for that program to be able to develop in Decentraland or themes for Decentraland. But honestly, I think that the way that Decentraland has set up their SDK and the language that they chose for it um, sets you up really well to see some immediate success with coding. Whereas when I started coding, it was like I could make an HTML page and that could show images, and like that's cool. But it took me 20 years to get to the point where I could. Oh, thank you. It took me 20 years to get to the point where I could create an entire application, like from front end to back end. And granted, I wasn't like grinding my ass off on code that whole time, but like it was a gradual progression. Um, but I guess my point there is it's a lot easier than it's ever been, and I highly suggest using AI to debug your code. It's pretty impressively good at being able to tell you what's wrong, although um, don't trust its results. Like if you ask it to generate code, um, you should assume that it's kind of doing it with your level of understanding, or like I don't know. It's almost like they have the AI language models somehow have this weird like high level understanding. Um, like I was talking to one of my coworkers the other day, and I was like, it's like talking to like a senior or staff level senior software engineer that can't put anything into context. So they know everything you need them to know, but they don't understand how any of it relates to what you're asking them. So like you kind of have to really engineer your prompts, I guess, in a way to kind of, I guess you have to kind of learn what it's doing wrong and tell it and sort of, I guess not teach it, but like influence whatever algorithm it's using to give it the right autocomplete that you want it to spit out, which is, I guess, how those things work. I don't know. It's so weird. I feel like we could go into a 2-hour podcast of just how scary and fascinating I think AI is.
Yes, we should do it. We should do it sometime. Maybe even take over the CBD space with the AI talk.
I'm down.
I know that like sometimes we get into the AI crazy talks. I've been waiting for curations to pop in and drop some knowledge. Hopefully you're there too, so so the conversation can keep going and bounce off ideas and stuff like that. Um so kind of like to summarize, you are recommending for new users to read the documentation, to use AI to debug, and to kind of like not be scared to fuck around with code, copy pasting code, and and seeing what happens.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I would also say if the code in the SDK is a little intimidating at first, try out like a beginner JavaScript course on something like codeacademy.com or like HackerRank. Um, some kind of like code tutorial. There's a lot of really great code tutorial websites out there that give you kind of like a basic level understanding of coding language, and JavaScript it's like a subset of TypeScript. So TypeScript can do everything JavaScript does, but it has like strict types, which in my opinion are a little bit harder to deal with and understand when you're first getting into coding. So if you're like really motivated by small incremental steps with regular rewards, I would start with JavaScript and kind of figure that out, and then all that knowledge will transfer into TypeScript, which is what the SDK uses.
let's go. Man, it still sounds scary even to me, but I feel like I feel like I should at least learn how to deploy a parcel through SDK. I feel like I should at least get that deep into it.
Oh, you could totally do that because now they've got it basically just like a GUI. You used to have to feel all hackery and type DCL init or DCL start. No, it was DCL deploy into your console, your command prompt to deploy Decentraland, which I don't know. That that was something I didn't even realize was a thing that developers did until like 4 or 5 years into my career. When someone was like, "Hey, you never like use any command line prompts or interfaces?"
They're
And
like,
I was like,
fuck yeah.
like, should I have been? And I guess it was because I started out mostly like front end, doing just the visual aspects of websites, and it was kind of more into when I got into communicating with servers and like back end type shit like that you need to know a little bit more command line because everything is Linux based or everything I use and have used usually is. So
Okay.
yeah.
And so I guess last question for you: if anyone would like to contact you, pick your brain, or possibly get on the waiting list for VLM, what would be the best way to contact you?
The best way is probably Discord. That seems to be the easiest way to get a hold of me these days. And since they've started rolling out their new username format, I am just Unknower, all lowercase, no numbers or hashes or anything. Somehow at one point I got Unknower1,
Hmm.
so that was cool. But now I'm just Unknower.
That's cool. They gave you the original name, kind of.
I got the one. Yeah, it hasn't happened very often. On Twitter, it belongs to some comic who hasn't tweeted in like 10 years or something and
Okay.
hasn't done any comedy in a similar amount of time.
Maybe if he blows up again, he'll be buying your name. Be like, he'll hit you up on Discord. Be like, yo, I'll give you 100K for that name.
Oh, let's ask me for more than that. In fact, I might be get serving Twitter some kind of notice soon because I actually have a pending trademark on Unknower.
Oh.
It's going through the final stages of approval where it's just up there for anybody to dispute, and if they dispute it, they have to prove that they've used it for longer than I have. And good luck.
And good luck.
If you even want to deal with the U.S. federal government for as long as I have to get that, because yeah.
Oh, that's awful. I mean, it feels like anytime you have to deal with the U.S. government, it's just, oh, excuse me, it's just a daunting task.
Yep, pretty much any governments for me. I don't know.
Governments are no good. We should start over.
Yeah.
We should just burn everything down.
Yeah, but then that makes you sound crazy too, right? Like I don't know.
Yep. I probably lost
Yeah.
a couple approval points there.
It's like let's redo everything, but in a better way than we've done before, with all the killing and the warring and whatnot. Can we do that? Can we flip out? Can we flip over the chessboard, but like glue the chess pieces down first or something? No, because the point is you want the chess pieces to be rearranged in a more fair way, right? I don't know. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard to create a better system without disrupting the present one. But yeah, you got another 2 hours.
Yeah, right.
Telling you, man, we could go on forever.
So, thank you, Anor, for coming on the show tonight. I hope you had as much fun as I did just picking your brain and bullshitting with you for the last 2 hours. I swear,
Totally.
it totally flew by.
Yeah, man. I'm ready to come back home whenever you're ready to have me. Maybe by then BLM will actually be done. I don't know. Feel free to just hit me up whenever you don't have somebody, and I'll just shoot the shit.
You'll come up and shoot the shit with me. Hell yeah. Maybe even one of these days, just like as a thought, get a bunch of smart people on Beyond the NFT with me and maybe help me like deploy something.
Yeah, shit, I'd help you out with that. Or even if you ever need a co-host to give you a more philosophical point of view on things, or pick somebody's brain, start getting into real deep topics, I can always hop on and help out with that kind of thing too.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
No pressure. This is totally your own thing. I love you for it. It's like so cool.
Much love on Noah, and thank you for being here tonight.
Man, of course.
And Anytime. And just a few final shout outs to everyone. Thank you so much for, sticking out another Beyond the NFT episode here at Dollhouse. Thank you, everyone that has been chilling here at Dollhouse, as well as everyone that has been on Twitch. Really appreciate your time. Just want to shout out our sponsors here real quick. Songbird Collective, Meta One Designs, Box Boards, Dr. Drip, and of course our hosts for Beyond the NFT every Monday night here at Dollhouse, the Baby Dolls. Thank you so much for all your help, and yeah, we'll see you back. I'll see you all back here maybe next week, perhaps same time, same place, maybe. Thank you, Josh. Thank you. Well, thank you, everyone. Stand by, and I will raid someone on Twitch and probably pass the music off to whatever Dollhouse has going. Thank you, and take care, everyone. Bye bye, Manatee. Bye bye, everyone.